Okay, for assignment 2B output, we're going to create serial sections of your stacked configuration. So you should have all of your model parts kind of interlocked and nested together. So the first thing we're going to do is pull out a clipping plane. So you can type clipping plane. I have it here. Oh, actually, let me redo this. I'm going to reset my C plane to the world top. So in world top, if I bring out my clipping plane, it'll draw it in top view mode. And then I'll just select that and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees that way. So now when I slide it through, it'll clip through. If it's not doing it, you're not seeing it, you just need to flip the direction. So if you go to properties, you go here, you'll see it changes the direction. It also, in the properties, this is where you can highlight where you want to see it or where the clipping plane is active. So for example, by default, it usually just is in the one view. So if I bring this here, we'll see that nothing's happening in this view. And that's because let me set this view back to front. There we go. Okay. So now it's activated in that window. But let's go back here for a minute. Okay, so first thing is we want to find out which direction has the most interesting sections. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just go to shaded mode for now. And we're just going to slide this through and make sure that everything is fitting properly, nothing's intersecting. So these are pretty interesting sections, and then if I rotate the clipping plane and scan it this direction, we'll see that there's more symmetry in this view. So I prefer the other direction. So I'm going to go back to this. Okay. So now I'll pull this out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clip this in 9 evenly spaced locations. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate one of these edges. Duplicate this edge here and just bring it out. And then with it selected, type divide. We're going to divide it into 10 equal segments. And that'll give us 9 points in between the ends. So I'll just bring this, I'm going to move it, grab the center, and just move it there. And then snap it to the first point in. This is our first section. Okay, so now that we're ready there, we need to set our, let's go here. We need to find the view, whether it's the front, left, right, or back. That's looking that way. So if it's not this view, it might be here, depending on which direction you're clipping, or it might be the back versus the left. So once you have that, we're going to expand this and fit it. And then once you fit it in there, you're going to come to this camera, which is named views. And we're going to save that view. So if this isn't showing up, right click, go down here to named views. And then click on this save as, and then just name it. So then it'll be saved. Oops. So what happened here is when I double click on this, this is named section. So I need to click on my clipping plane, go back here and enable section. So these are tied to the specific views that are set and their naming. Okay, next, you'll notice some differences in the display mode. So I'm in pen display mode here, and it's one called hard shadow white cut. So you can make a copy of this, or you can just change. I think this is the original one that we used before. So let's just go there, and I'm just going to modify it. So the first thing we're going to do is change the background color. And the reason for this is that it'll help us mask this better, basically select the outer area. So make that red, and then double click or just select the edit settings. And then open up objects, go to lines. And for the hidden line, make that white. The width as 2. Edge color, we're going to make that white as well. Oh no, sorry, keep that black. Yes, okay, that's all we need to do here. Everything else should look the same. And it was clipping plane. We're going to make the fill black. And we actually have to give this a value of 1. Otherwise it won't register. And then the edges, we're going to change that to white. And then you need to adjust the thickness accordingly. So you may have to test view capturing first before you adjust this. And that's all we need to do there. And then we're going to set our sun. So here we're going to actually change the angles. You'll notice the lower I go, the more sun goes in there. So you may have to move this around in order to get, we don't want all gray, we actually want some light and shadow to come in there. And then if you go to your rendering tab, and again if it's not showing up, right click and enable it. Just make sure there's no ground plane and that the skylight is on and set to an intensity of 1. Okay, so it should look something like this. And now we're going to do a bunch of these. So I'm just going to double click here. So get this set up where you expand whatever view this is, so it takes up, or half of your screen. And then this one, I'm just going to stay here. So this will allow me to just move my clipping plane through so we can march through these. So with this one, I'm going to click here and then type view capture and set this to 1600 by 900, scale 4, and then just go OK. So I already have them, so I don't need to do it again. And then you're just going to go here, snap to the next one, and then click here and view capture. If you don't click here, like if you stay here when you view capture, this is what it'll capture, this window. So we want this one. So you just need to click here. So do that for all of the 9 sections. And then we'll go into Photoshop. Okay, so in Photoshop, here are my files. So here's my 9. And I'm just going to go ahead and select all of these and drag them in here. So we open up all of them. So we're going to do, we're going to basically record an action that we do to one of these, and then we'll do it to all of them. Okay, so we're going to create an action. I'm going to open up this, or click on this icon here. So it opens these up. If that's not showing up, you go to Window, Actions, and it'll show up. Okay, let me delete this because I'm going to redo it. Okay, so we're going to basically go through a series of steps, record them, so we can apply them to the rest of the files. So I'm going to click on this folder icon, which is a new set, and I'm going to name it Mask and Crop. underscore 6" W for width, space at 300 DPI. So what this is telling me the operations, and then the size and the resolution. So hit OK, and then you come down here and click this plus icon. And we don't need to change anything here, just hit record. So now anything I do here, it will record that in a sequence of steps. So the first thing is type W for wand, so it should be this wand icon here. Click on the red. Now because we had the clipping plane on, it showed up here a little bit. So I'm going to add that to the selection, hit M for marquee, shift, and then just click and drag over there so it selects everything. And then I'm going to go select, modify, expand 1 pixel. So it just grabs a little bit more to make sure there's no red. And then we're going to select inverse, C for crop, return twice, and then V for selection, and then we're good there. So you'll see all that has been added. Then we're going to go to image, image size, change the width to 6 inches, and resolution to 300. Hit OK. Then save, Control S, and then close this file out. So you'll see it saved all of that. So now that this is done, we hit stop. So now it doesn't record. So now we go back here, I can close this. With the action 1 selected or highlighted, if we press play, it'll run through that here. Okay, so let's go check that one, because that one is going to have one thing that we'll need to fix. So you'll see them here. So this one has this red here, so we want to get rid of that red. So if you have any like this, you'll just have to kind of reopen those up and fix them individually. So I just hit magic wand, selected it. And then I'm just going to make it white. I'm going to hit Shift F5 for fill. And then contents, just go to white. And then hit OK. Okay, that's it. And then save and close it. Okay, then back to this one. On this again, press play. And then you should just be able to just keep hitting play and go through them. Okay. So now let's look and just verify, check them all, make sure that they're good. So now we're ready to lay these out. Okay, so in Illustrator, you'll create an artboard that, depending on the proportion of your section or your kind of overall mass, whatever the 6 inches is, if that's the top or the side, you'll basically multiply that times 4 for the top side or the top edge or the side edge. So if that makes sense. So this is 6 inches. So that means, each of these, is 18 inches together. So then I need some margin. So there's 1.5 inches in between the edge and between each drawing. So my overall length is 24 inches at the top. And since my proportion is 4 to 5 or 5 to 4, the height is 30 inches. So it's 24 inches by 30 inches, so that's a 5 to 4 ratio. And so these are laid out with 1.5 inches in between. So yours may be different based on the kind of ratio or proportions that your overall block is conditioned to. And then once you get those laid out, you can just export it as a JPEG. I'm going to use the artboard. since we're no color, we're going to go grayscale and set this to screen 72, because this is just for uploading to Moreau. So you'll have the Illustrator file for printing later for the final. And if we decide to print smaller, it'll be fine because this will scale down easily. Actually, let's redo that because exporting at a 72 dpi changes the line quality of the hidden lines. So we're just going to oops. Let me get back to Illustrator. Okay, here we go. Same thing, change the grayscale and leave this at 300 ppi and hit OK. And then you'll find that file and open it in Photoshop. So we'll open it here and then you'll change this to 10 inches, whichever, going to change the 24 to 10 at 300 pixels per inch. Hit OK and then save it out and ready for upload.